Yo, it's Wednesday morning, and I don't have my roadcaster ready. There we go. It's Wednesday morning. That is the perfect start. That is indicative of the fact that Kyle got in at 1:30 a.m. last night. I got a little bit early, but we spent the whole day recording podcast in Philly. So let's go.
I'm like, is this mic attached to me? Is that?
Oh, man. You know, we said this morning, you know why ASOTU is going to win? Because the 6 or 7 of us work like 12 to 14 other people, right?
Legit.
Like there is this double duty work ethic going on inside the walls and halls of ASOTU right now. Let us just tell you.
And here's the reason why. Because we are all at ASOTU united around this belief that, like, we don't just want to do what we're doing, but we have to do what we're doing. Like, there is an obligation to our industry that we feel here at ASOTU. And so if you are a part of the community, if you're listening to the podcast, if you get the emails, if you're following us on social, we are grateful to you, but also just know, like, we feel this obligation to you. And so that's a two-way street, I think.
Really is.
What I always say is, like, we want feedback. I love when people press back or push, to ask questions or dive into something that we're saying, because it spurs us on to go, oh, there's a new frame of mind. There's another mindset. Let's draw from that. Let's contextualize that. Whatever's going on in our industry, we feel the obligation to make sure that, like you said, yesterday we were sitting with Michael Cirillo, to, like, put up this beacon and allow people to move toward it. Right.
No doubt. No doubt. So we spent the day in Philly yesterday checking out, going through again with a fine tooth comb, the venue for ASOTU, the hotel, every room, every detail, every AV technicality. And then we all got together in the penthouse and we recorded the beginnings of what is going to be Auto Collabs, the podcast. We may actually launch episode 00 this week. This is a longer form podcast. Kyle, myself, and Michael Cirillo are going to host this, we'll call it a podcast extravaganza. We have dozens and dozens.
I love how we're, like, everything new that we do.
Extravaganza.
Is an extravaganza.
That's so true. Why not? That's what it feels like. That is what it feels like. It feels like there's a lot of things happen. It is the least sterile and stale thing you're going to hear. And we have interviews with dealers and industry partners and outside industry pros. Long form. No more like just quick shots in the morning, news and commentary. We're going deep on the interviews. We've been being requested of that, and bringing Michael Cirillo into the conversation has brought a whole new level of texture and a whole new level of antics.
Paul, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know this, but Michael Cirillo's podcast is downloaded in over 70 countries across
70?
the world. 70, Paul.
I may have heard that at one point. I don't know. I'm gonna get a t-shirt. So
there's an inside joke here. Apologize. Well, you're gonna
hear it all.
Listen to the podcast if
you're gonna hear it all. So there are a lot of laughs. There's gonna be a lot of insights, because we can have fun and make progress at the same time. If you haven't gotten your tickets to ASOTU, go to ASOTU.com. This week we're announcing more speakers, more of the agenda, more of the list, and it's going to continue to shape up and really be textured in with this content from Auto Collabs. There's some things going on in the world because nothing stops because we start podcasting. We talked about the VW brand Scout when the first concept, we were at Digital Dealer in Tampa when the concept pictures came out. And we were like, this looks awesome. VW dealers have been asking for a pickup truck for a long time. We were in the elevator with a VW rep and we're like, hey, how about that new Scout brand? And she didn't say a word. She was just like, that's what it looked like. Her face looked like I either A, don't have any idea what you're talking about, or B, I'm not supposed to talk about it. I think it was A.
It was definitely A, which, I mean, to be fair, a lot of companies have this same struggle where it's like, they throw out the new thing and everybody else doesn't really know what's going on. So the public and the employees get it. But so yesterday, another big announcement in the journey of the new brand Scout. That's a VW brand. And it was announced that the now former CEO and president of Volkswagen.
Starting September 1st.
Well, okay, so starting September 1st, Scott Keogh is stepping into the role as CEO of Scout, which is a really, I think a very, very intelligent move for the brand. Because from what I know of Scott Keogh in the dealer community and also in the public eye, he's a very liked person, right? He like people are attracted to his way of thinking, to the way that he's run the brand, especially since taking over in 2018 with all of the like emissions debacles and where he's kind of led them through the resurrection of that brand through a lot of different things. So yeah, I think that it's a really positive move to kind of, you know, see what Scout is going to be in the market, because there have been a lot of questions around, you know, Scout.
There have been a lot of questions
for dealers.
There haven't been a lot of answers. So I really like the entrepreneurial nature of what this is going to be. So I'm quoting from an automotive news article, who is probably just quoting from a press release. It was a simple, straightforward decision. Either one, stay in my existing role. This is Keogh talking. Stay in my existing role and continue to operate and do it accordingly and keep rocking and rolling, or take the chance of a lifetime to do a startup company. Keogh told the reporters in Chattanooga, Tennessee. He said, I think if you're an American and a businessman and a person of humanity, in my mind, it was no choice to do a startup, to be entrepreneurial and revive an iconic American brand. I mean, that just gets the entrepreneur.
This guy, I feel like he's one of our own.
All right.
I see you.
Funny story about Scott Keogh is that just yesterday, Kyle shot across a draft letter that, you know, we had plans to have him at ASOTU. And so Kyle's like, hey, here's the draft letter. We're going to send it out. We had some people that were going to get it to him. And then I just sent Kyle a screenshot of this story. He's like, I don't think he's going to come anymore.
I think he might. I think he may actually be more willing to, now that he's in this like entrepreneurial brand, because there's an identity that has to be that has to be fulfilled around it.
No doubt. And Jim Elliott just commented, Scout is a new brand and not protected by state franchise laws as VW is. So VW has a clean sheet distribution system opportunity. Jim, that is the question. That's the question we've been asking. Jim. That's the question that hasn't been answered, right? Like
Jim was like,
yeah, lob that one in, pull the pin. Clear, right? But that really is the question. And like, if we can get him to ASOTU or get him on a podcast, we would love to talk through that, because right now, he said this in the interview, like he's like, Scout is a company that has one employee, right? Wow. And that's him. So it is really an interesting like synthesis of events. We'll see what happens. And again, our whole thing is to show the dealers and the OEMs actually that the dealer network is the biggest, single greatest asset in getting vehicles to consumers in a way that consumers can really connect with a brand and be serviced well, because, you know, service is not a strength of any EV company right now. Service is actually where it really trails off. So we'll see where this goes. Love the entrepreneurial spirit. Love the concept designs. Love Scott Keogh. Let's see if we can love the business model that is to come.
There it is.
It's only Wednesday, but we're going to have to recontextualize our letter to Scott. We will. And we will. Maybe we'll see him at ASOTU. We'll see. Yeah, I hope so.
Well, let's just say we should. Well, hey, speaking of interesting business models,
stop.
Segue.
Time.
We'll take that.
I stretched.
We'll accept it though. Look, when you have a 20-hour workday the day before, Kyle,
3-hour night of sleep,
where
your watch texts you when you wake up, go back to bed with
it's like, yo,
claps after each of it. Yeah.
It's like periods and claps. Like you have two options: go back to bed, or I'm dialing 911.
Right. No, so there's been a lot of attention paid to all types of subscription model services recently, because many people are seeing what subscription services have done over the last 10 years to acquire customer bases, and are trying to figure out, we've talked a lot about this, whether or not that's the like viable solution for the next 10 years. And by the way, we're going to have to run the story back on the BMW thing, because I've seen some things about how that might have been a fake story and all that type of stuff. So speaking of subscriptions, the heated seat.
Oh, the seats?
Yeah. We'll get back to that. We'll get, I
will.
need to do some research, but I just saw it on the interwebs yesterday. So hang tight. We might come back to that.
Be a brilliant play if BMW seeded that into. No, that was a fake story.
Oh,
that was a fake story.
Right. Yeah. So looking at Netflix in the last month, they have for the second month in a row had a drop in subscribership. And I think, did you I don't know if we put the number in our show notes, but
the total down over the last 2 months is 1.3 million. Last month alone was about 900,000. So they went 400,000 2 months ago, 900,000 last month. So they're down 1.3 million.
It's really interesting because you've got these new entrants, right, that are trying to kind of acquire some of that business, and
more than trying,
not more than
succeeding
trying, right? Succeeding. And what's so wild to me is it's not just the platform. People are chasing shows. You know, one of the things that they were talking about this is that Netflix is really trying to find their place in kind of this having to keep up with always having the next best show, like the thing that everybody wants to stay sticky to. And it's less and less like, oh, that's the platform that I want to be on because everything on it is what I want. Because and more, I'm kind of like subscribers are chasing what the next big thing is. Right.
Yeah. So Stranger Things is obviously the latest hit, and they didn't release it all at once. They actually staggered the layout across 2 months, right? In an effort to get people to not subscribe and then cancel at the end of the month. It also, in the article, we didn't put it in here, but they've acquired the studio that made the Lego movie, the animation studio that made the Lego movies. So they are making moves again, like to your point, Kyle, to make sure that they can create, that they are like legit creators. And so with all the shifting, they said they're actually projecting a gain in subscribers next month. I don't know how they do that, but you know, they're probably not making it up. And they also announced in their earnings call a new model where they are going to release a lower cost ad supported version. So like we see a lot of that, you know, Hulu, where you don't have to pay the full price, you get a reduced price, but you have to see ads. And Netflix has, what's like 220 million subscribers right now. So, banking on the fact that a big portion of those are going to go into the lower cost one. I actually canceled Netflix. The worst thing was paying more money for better resolution. This is the dumbest thing I could ever imagine. Yeah. It just made me mad, right? Yeah. If they just had, so releasing an ad version might bring some people back to the platform. And just think of the ad inventory this opens up. Like that's bonkers.
A whole revenue stream that they haven't even tapped into at this point. So from an investor perspective and from a net revenue perspective, it probably opens up a whole nother layer. I think the other thing that a lot of people are asking, and not that they've done it yet, but there's this question mark around the kind of shared login issues that Netflix has experienced over the years. And so recognizing that the user base is used to one type of experience, and that's hard as a brand to say like, oh, we've got people sharing logins across 4 or 5 users, which means we're missing out on these types of revenue streams from those multi-users, because 220
just
million subscribers, right?
Yeah,
you're probably close to, if not higher than 2x that on total like installs on household devices, right? So let
me ask you this.
How that's a big deal.
So if say they loosen up the multiple login, right? They stop cracking down on that. Is it beneficial to stop cracking down on that because now more people are watching the ads and they can sell more inventory? Like that's got to offset it.
Well, they haven't quite they haven't done that. They've only done that in like a few markets so far, but I think it's people hedging for that may be coming. Yep. But it's interesting because like most people don't share their Apple ID login, right? Because it's a lot more tied to all.
Well, it's tied to your whole life.
And so now, like Apple TV, they've got that locked system, and so that's where Netflix has that kind of open system that multiple people can get in. But I do think you can start selling on impressions over just subscriber growth,
without a doubt.
So that's a big key.
Without a doubt. They said they're going to be partnering with Microsoft to deliver the technology they need in order to serve up the ads. And a lot of people say Netflix really knows their users well. So a couple of brands have already expressed interest in committing to really long-term multi-million-dollar agreements. A couple companies, brands that are just looking to be on the platform, Peloton and Hyundai, were mentioned as far as even product placement in some of the shows. So this is just another story of evolve or die. And from a dealership perspective, I think it's, the more OTT inventory there is to buy, the better that is for pricing and the better that is for us to get in front of.
We don't talk about Hyundai enough.
We're speaking of Hyundai.
Talking about Hyundai.
Well, speaking of Hyundai.
Stop. Segue. Time.
Little car company called Kia, owned by Hyundai. We're going to talk about them today. So they've just deployed another commercial where they inserted, they built a commercial around NFT characters. Again, they did it once in the Super Bowl with the RoboDog, but now they have taken an existing community of people who are around these NFTs called Dead Army Skeleton Club spelled with a K, of course, short for DASK, D-A-S-K. They appear in this really cool commercial. I watched the commercial and it's awesome. Where the skeletons are driving around in the Kia and they go to a drive-through. And here's the thing. There's a QR code that is worked into the commercial as actually a piece of set decoration that you can scan, and you can get one of 10,000 free NFTs that are kind of a collab between Kia and the Dead Army Skeleton Club. The reason this is cool, it's not just to be in NFTs. If you look, Kia has been dabbling in this for a little bit, but what they've tapped into is they understand, and I'll say it right now, this is the new buzzword, right? Brand was the buzzword for the last 3 or 4 years. The new buzzword is community. I'm just going to put it out there. Okay, everybody's got a community now, right? But all communities aren't the same, just like all brands aren't the same. We'll get into that a little bit further.
We can run on that one.
we got a battle axe behind that one. But here's the thing. Kia understands that the NFTs, they have a lot of micro communities that gather around these goofy characters, but it's deeper than just the character. It's actually a group of people who think about things the same way and approach certain areas of life the same way. So by Kia bringing them into the fold and saying, hey, we're part of your community, guess what they've done? They've just made the brand sticky.
Yes.
In a way that I've never seen OEM brands be able to cross that boundary.
Well, I think it's interesting because when you talk about NFTs, I think they kind of go community one of two ways. Either you take an existing community and bring them onto NFTs because you've crafted community.
You migrate, right?
And you migrate them into the NFT world because of validity or access or something like that. And then there's this other piece that Hyundai Kia is tapping into, which is saying, hey, there's a community that we can get to align with our brand. And if we align that correctly, we can actually migrate that community back into our community correctly. And I think that both ways are just dynamic plays on how to access this new web social atmosphere and thinking about how can I, especially in regionalized, localized brands, how can I connect communities, whether it be NFT or the local coffee shop community? How can I connect communities both ways, right?
Yep.
I think any business owner, entrepreneur should be thinking that way.
We talked yesterday in our episode 00 for Auto Collabs, the new podcast. We talked about how bringing everybody together, collaborating, isn't just dealers and industry partners. It's actually also OEMs, and also you brought up the consumer.
Yes.
Right. It's the collaboration between all those groups if we're going to be successful. And so I think this is a great example of OEMs reaching out to consumers, making the big play connection, right? The broad market connection, and really teeing it up for Kia dealers to take the next step and bring some of these people closer. And that means learning something about the Dead Army Skeleton Club NFTs, because I guarantee you there's some Kia salespeople out there that understand NFTs and can really quickly get in that Discord, learn a little bit about the community. And I guarantee you there's a local element to that community. And boy, they should be buying Kias from this point forward. They really should. Thank you, OEM. Thank you, Kia, for thinking about that. It's dealers' turn to take the football and run with it because it is accessible. It's right on your phone. It's right on your screen. I don't want to hear any complaining later.
There you go. You know what? I've been thinking about this. Is what communities are your people already embedded in that you can draw back in to the
like
dealership?
You mean your
community?
people in your store, right?
Yes.
Like taking their community networks.
Bingo. And drawing from their knowledge of that community to pull that into the dealership network community. Lights out, right?
Lights out. We have some work to do, even though we had very little lights out time last night. We hope you go crush it this Wednesday. Go learn a little bit about something new. But more than anything, go show people what the Retail Auto Dealer Network is about.